Hello, I'm Sam from Jessup Says. The focus of my channel is to share and educate on how to buy less, buy better. It's not necessarily about buying less things, it's about buying something that fits its purpose perfectly and serves you for as long as possible. To wrap up our recent chino coverage, I wanted to finish off talking and thinking about trousers for a few weeks by covering the single coolest and most unique pair of trousers that I think I own. Now, they may not be chinos exactly, and they aren't beige, though you can have a beige pair if that's more your speed. What we are discussing though is sort of the divergent part of fashion evolution. Quite like that sentence. Today we're going to discuss the older, eclectic brother of the chino trouser. A trouser that's probably more recognizable as its original intent to carry everything and be a military trouser. A trouser that gets a bit of a bad name due to the early 2000s. That is of course the cargo trouser. But I can assure you that there's nothing even remotely dad vibes from the early 2000s about these particular cargo trousers or military trousers. Because today we are covering the Namiman Reworked Military Trouser. We do have a quote from the website, but I actually wanted to start off with a quote from the legend who is responsible for the Namiman brand. The man, Nami. I asked him what he wanted the people to know about these trousers, and his answer pretty much perfectly sums up how epic these trousers are, and this is what he said. I wanted a pair of trousers that specifically works well with tailoring, that was soft enough visually yet retained enough rugged appeal. The angled pocket lines works well with the jacket, the front quarters, so I like that the lines are interrupted, keeping the aesthetic clean. I added a twin strap with sliders to create a version that's to my taste and works well with all styles of footwear. I also used Japanese HBT or herringbone twill, which is beautiful and develops a lot of character over time. Nami, like me, is a big believer in patina. He goes on to say, this is definitely one of the iconic Namiman pieces and will be a staple across the coming collections. Overall, I wanted to add a piece to the collection that is a heritage staple that was unique enough and required minimal changes to work back with tailoring and the rest of his ready-to-wear collection, which is definitely worth exploring if you're interested. As for the details, the style is the reworked military trouser. My color is in olive, but they also come in beige and they are made in Melbourne. The material is that Japanese herringbone twill. The construction features front tightening strap closure, the double slanted cargo pockets with hidden side zipped pockets, a zip fly and a V slip on the waistband, which helps with comfort. The fit is high rise with a wide leg or a straight wide leg. They fit true to size, and I personally ordered a size 34. As for cost, they cost me 475 Australian dollars. And it was quite surprising when researching this topic. I realized that there's very little cohesive information about the vast types of military trousers that have been used throughout history. I suppose there's really only a topic that very few people are interested in, but how cool would it be to see all the different uniforms of all the different militaries throughout time and where that sort of fashion has ended up today? Maybe that's sort of just my weird pipe dream and something I'd like to be interested in knowing. But since such a resource doesn't exist, or doesn't seem to exist, today we're going to focus generally on cargo pants and where they've come from. The history of cargo pants or military trousers is a bit muddled and would probably take a few hours to explain comprehensively. In a nutshell, back in the 19th century, we find the roots of these cargo pants in military fashion. The original invention of the cargo appeared to be from the British Army, first worn by soldiers in the Imperial British Army in the 1700s. The original cargo pant was different from what we'd recognize today as a cargo pant. They didn't have any pockets, they were made from heavy wool, and they were about thigh length, so more like a cargo short than a cargo pant. Fast forward a few hundred years to the 1930s, and when the design of the cargo pant started to become more recognizable thanks to a designer in the US Army. He added two large pockets on the sides of the legs that allowed soldiers to easily access their equipment. The pockets also had large flaps to ensure that everything was nice and securely sealed and didn't come out. They also had drawstrings to further secure the pocket's content. Not only did these pockets store a lot of different equipment, equipment for these soldiers, but it was also a great way of keeping the contents dry and safe. And that's where we meet up with today's pair of trousers. Nami told me that he referenced a pair of 1940s US Marine Corps World War II trousers, though not the one that you typically see referenced, which is called the P44, which was made in the year 1944. This pair, Nami doesn't actually know exactly where they come from or what they were called, and I personally can't find any reference to this exact style or this kind of style of inspiration, so they were clearly quite a rare and unusual pair at the time. Nami's design pays homage to those original military designs, but it also provides a contemporary blend of both sartorial style and streetwear. So let's get into how they fit. The fit of these pants makes them one of the more enjoyable trousers to wear on a really hot day, which at the moment in Melbourne there are a few of, which is nice. These were and remain my most experimental fit, being the widest and highest rise of all the trousers I own, and I genuinely love it. In saying that, I may have been a little heavier than I am today, and I actually wanted even more exaggerating fit than what the original fit was intended by Nami, so I actually chose a size 34. The pants themselves are actually true to size, so I probably would fit into a 32, but as I've just said, I was a little bigger and I wanted that more exaggerated, more comfortable leg, so I chose to go up a size. So what I'm about to describe is indicative of a size larger than what you may experience or what I would experience in my actual size. The pants themselves sit what I would call well above my belly button, like, you know, a good finger's length above my belly button, and you can clearly see from the front that they sit pretty wide in a cut and it's pretty straight from the front. You can see actually there's a bit of sort of my shape going into the curvature of the pants and that sort of internal leg, which is super cool and only happens over time. That just shows how the fabric is going to mold to my body over time. From the side profile, it's pretty much more of the same. It's a straight and wide leg. Very clean, very elegant. The rear fit is pretty much exactly the same, but due to the height of the back being, you know, very high-waisted, Nami added that V split, which is literally a V split in the back, and acts like a bit of a pleat, which for me is adding a lot of comfort in that sort of area, allowing it to sit more naturally on my waist. Lengthwise, rolled up a few times, they're pretty much perfect for me. They look really good with a little wee cuff on the bottom, though my style is changing and will continue to change over time, so I'm curious to see what I end up doing with them. A lot of the time I opt for a more cropped fit, being, you know, rolled up a little bit more with a pair of loafers to keep them nice and sort of contextual, but the length being cut full and then rolled up means that I can do whatever I want to. One of the unique features of the Namiman military trouser is the way that the fabric ages over time. The trousers come in an olive color, but it's a shade that is known for developing a beautiful patina over time. As the trousers are worn and washed, they will naturally fade and soften, creating a unique vintage look. The olive color will also change, becoming more muted and subdued over time. This gives the trouser a timeless and well-worn look that is highly sought after by many fashion enthusiasts. The patina on each pair of Namiman military trousers will be unique and individual to each pair that is worn by a unique individual. They become an ever-evolving reflection of the wearer's experiences and adventures and how they like to wear the trouser. As for the fabric itself and how it feels, well, under the hand, the herringbone pattern is absolutely beautiful and it feels nice and sort of textured. You can sort of scratch it, which I quite like. On the inside, it feels really nice and substantial, but very soft and smooth against the leg if my leg actually touches the inside fabric, which doesn't happen all that much, to be fair. Since owning them and wearing them, they've become one of my most comfortable pairs of trousers, and I honestly can't wait to see them with even more patina and even more broken into my body. As for the construction, there are really two main things that separate these from a pair of chinos, and they are pretty obviously the angled pockets and the twin strap and sliders used to close the front of the trousers. Well, actually you use a zip fly and a button, and then over top of that you have the two straps that weave together and close the front of the trousers and make them a bit tighter. Now, if you're interested in having a pair of trousers that are very easy to get on and off, if you're busting to pee, then I'd suggest probably not choosing this pair of trousers. You do get used to the fastening, and honestly, it's not a huge deal, but the first few times it can be a bit of an adjustment, literally, so plan accordingly. Another interest you may have if you want these pants are good pockets, which these have 4 of. There are these 2 on the front, pretty obviously, but there are also 2 zip pockets that are sort of hidden to the side and then underneath those main pockets. And they're great for holding pretty much everything and anything that you want protected or hidden. All the pockets are fairly deep and do a very good job of carrying pretty much everything that I need to carry around. They are a great pair of trousers that are both fashionable and functional. So let's discuss how I would wear them. When it comes to matching colors with olive, there are several options that complement the earthy tone of the fabric. Some great options would include neutral colors like beiges, grays, navy blues, as well as earthy shades like brown and khaki. Other complementary colors include deep reds, greens, and purples. The Namiman trousers are designed to have a rugged and military aesthetic. So if you wanted to enhance that look, you could pair things with military-inspired clothing like a field jacket or combat boots to make a sort of military-inspired, cohesive, and stylish outfit. It is quite a specific look, and although it might be the most obvious way to pair these trousers, much like a pair of chinos, I found myself wearing them all the time and in a range of different styles. Definitely not just in this militaristic style. Another way you could play with it is to pair it with something like a classic button-up and a tie. This sort of combination creates a nice style between the rugged elements of the military as well as the very dressed up and sort of ornamental elements of the military. And I think it works quite cool. Knowing a few guys here in Melbourne that own these trousers, I've seen them combined in a ton of different and creative ways. And sadly, I'm not the most stylish or fashionable person to be maybe giving you these examples, but hopefully I found some that I really like, and they're on screen right now while I'm talking. So you've got some more inspiration of how other people would wear these trousers. But as for how I wear them, well, firstly, I typically wear them pressed with a seam down the front. The pants don't actually have pleats, but I've always enjoyed how that sort of crispness looks. It's military, I guess. Over time, I'm considering letting that line fade out, but at this point, I'm not really sure what I want to do long term, but it doesn't really matter because you could always just add it in or let it go or add it in at any time in the future. Most of the time, I tend to wear these with a pair of loafers. I know that's just my style, but I like the sort of Ivy military heritage that comes with pairing loafers with military style clothing in general. It's easy enough to pair them with something like a white sneaker or a pair of boots if that's more your style. As for boots, you could go something really military like my Edward Green Galway, or you could go something completely different like a brogue boot like the one I have from Crockett & Jones. Honestly, they go really well with everything. You just have to be willing to sort of give it a crack and see if it works. As for tops, I typically wear a plain white t-shirt or even a plain navy blue t-shirt. And then I would add layers on top of it, which I'll cover in a second. If you want something a bit more dressed up, like I mentioned just before, you could use a shirt like an OCPD and it would work really, really well. You could add netwear if you wanted. And of course, I use both my red and green rugby jerseys and they work really well here too. As for layers, I own some great browns and greens from Private White VC. So both my vest and safari jacket are my go-to pieces depending on the weather. I love playing with those sort of earthy green, brown tones. To me, it always looks quite cool if I manage to pull it off. I'm actually very surprised by how versatile these pants are, and I often find myself reaching for them. I have to say that these pants are really surprising, and if you, like me, are wondering how much you'd use a military style olive cargo trouser, then wonder no more. They are a trouser that I want to wear. Sometimes I'm disappointed if I decide to wear pants that aren't these. The style is funky and unique and they're super comfortable and they're just so nice to wear. With the added benefit that they're going to patina and age over time, something that I'm quite interested in with my clothing in general. So if you're curious about the style or these trousers specifically, I'd say you should jump in and give it a go. If you think my pair are a bit too baggy, then go your actual size, not a size up. And I hope you enjoy them. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Links are in the description as always, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Cheers.